Three.
Hi, thank you folks for joining us this morning. My name is Patrick Wynn. I'm a sales director here at Audit for the Southeast region. Also with me is Mark Uranza. He's one of our senior sales engineers here at Audit who will be performing the demo of DocLink today. Thank you folks for joining, and thank you Emerald TC for allowing us to present to you folks today. Audit's the name of our company. DocLink is the name of our document and content management solution that we're going to talk about today. And we're going to touch specifically with audits and audit prepping, where DocLink can really help you streamline your audit process with your auditors and internal audits. Take things from hours or minutes from what it used to be, which used to probably take days or if not weeks for you folks, right? So really it's about streamlining your audit and really cutting the time there and the tedious task of gathering all your documents for your auditors. So audit. Going through an audit prep process can be really painful. That 5-letter word strikes dread and fear into a lot of accounting and finance groups within our organizations. And in today's webinar, you'll see how DocLink, a document management and business process automation solution, can really help you streamline your audit process for your organization, reducing your audit prep time that could take days or weeks to hours or minutes, right? Easily locate and download, deliver these files to your auditors or provide your auditors easy access directly to DocLink in itself. Really creating a paperless audit for your organization, right? With full audit history, audit trail on how documents, from the moment the document or content comes in our system to when it was approved and when things were finalized, and really taking the stress out of your audits, right? Streamlining it so audits are seamless and really easy and not as stressful as it probably is today for you folks. So let's talk about auditing challenges, the challenges that all organizations face when they're not using a document or content management system like DocLink. So being audited adds that strain to your resources that within your organization. Makes it hard to keep up with your day-to-day work when you're dealing with auditors that are in your office. Your employees end up spending way too much time having to hunt down documents that your auditors are requesting for, searching, retrieving, looking through banker boxes, looking through filing cabinets, maybe offsite storage, because you do store some documents out to offsite storage, or maybe in a dungeon or warehouse somewhere where your employees have to get dirty, right? And what if a document gets missing, is lost or misplaced or is missing? There's a lot of work that goes into your employees' time to have to recreate these documents, whether it's requesting these additional documents from your vendors because you lost or misplaced it, or maybe potentially from your clients. So all the while, by doing this, your team isn't able to complete the day-to-day duties, right, that they're there to do. And your bill with your auditors are continuously increasing, right? Therefore, relying on a manual paper-based process isn't the right way to do it. And, make it easy to comply with different government regulations, right? So poor visibility into the process means that you could periodically not be in compliance with different, government regulations with the paper-based process. Therefore, it's difficult to comply with, local, state, and government agencies in an orderly fashion. Time and energy is spent searching for documents to prepare for your audits, inability to quickly find and share required documents, all the time it takes there. With document management system like DocLink, really helps you manage everything electronically in a secure central repository. So we could definitely help you with your audits and your auditors. So here's kind of a diagram of a typical audit process, right? You're pulling financial reports for your for your auditors. You're gathering all related documentations to support your financial reports. You're searching through, paper filing cabinets, banker boxes, folders to gather all these documents, as well as with documents are lost or misplaced, you have to recreate those, right? Gathering all these documents in conjunction with your financial report. And then you walk through the process and the workflows and what happened to these documents through the process if it was approved with your auditors, right? It's all manual. If you implemented DocLink or a document management system, gathering documents get improved from what you may take today, spending days or weeks to gather all these documents. You don't have to worry about recreating documents because they have everything stored in DocLink. Nothing needs to be recreated, right? So gathering these documents can be minutes, and then definitely improve the walkthrough process with your auditors because there's a full audit history there. They could see, maybe not even go to you folks with questions because they could see the full audit history on the document. When it was brought into the system, who approved it, when they approved it, when, let's say, an AP transaction, if they have a question with regards to a purchase transaction or AP transaction, when it was actually pushed over to the ERP system that you're using, right? So huge improvement in two big process. You'll pull your financial reports from your ERP system. That's easy. You know how to do that already. But gathering of the documents and walking through the process, which you may not even need to have to physically walk through because they'll be able to see all the audit history. So what is DocLink? This is a great question, right? What is DocLink? Let's take a visual look at what DocLink is. At the core of DocLink, that circle there, is the repository where everything is stored and managed. We have two flavors of DocLink. We have our traditional on-premise solution where DocLink is installed on your server, documents are stored there. But then we also have a cloud version of DocLink where everything can be stored and managed all in the cloud. It's a true multi-tenant SaaS cloud and runs on Azure. So two flavors of DocLink depending on what your technology strategy is for your organization. We could be on-premise or we could be in the cloud, or you could take our on-premise solution and put it in a private cloud if you wish as well. So with that, once you have DocLink, a lot of different ways you can capture documents and content and bring them into our system. Paper-based documents typically get scanned and brought in. They'll be stored as TIFF or PDF images. But then you could also bring in documents or content in their native format. So we could store Word, we could store Excel, we could store WAV files, multimedia files, AutoCAD engineering drawings, if you wish. Anything can be stored and managed in their native format in our system. You could scan paper-based documents in. We could utilize OCR, optical character recognition. We could print capture. So think about any document or report that comes out of your ERP system. We could bring it into our system and store and manage in DocLink electronically. We can have automated import, picking up documents from email, from network folder. We can read barcodes as well. And once documents and content are brought into DocLink, you can have workflow processes around them. Routing a document around for review and approval. People get notified via email they have something to review and approve, and they approve or deny accordingly. We also have a forms capability, different types of business forms in our system. And we have a two-way integration with a lot of different ERPs, roughly about 20 different ERPs we have our two-way integration with. So if you're using Sage or Acumatica, we certainly integrate with those as well. A lot of different ways you can retrieve for documents, whether it's directly from the ERP screens or we have a web client, so any web browser, Smart Client, which is the desktop app, and we even have a mobile app, so iOS and Android compatible mobile devices, we have access there as well. You can even send documents out of our system, so think about sending out packages to customers or to vendors. We can automate that out of DocLink as well. So very powerful tool. So there are so many benefits to ongoing paperless solution and implementing DocLink in relations to auditing process. First is how much of a disruption it can be to have auditors being on site, and not to mention the cost and time for them to be there. We have a small and local client of ours. They have an annual audit each January. As you can imagine, what a nightmare with just finishing, year end, trying to close out your books, and you have your auditors in the office, and typically they have 3 individual auditors And these auditors are typically on site from 5 to 8 days, creating this interruption to their business, right? They're trying to close out the year, and these auditors are in. They spend 5 to 8 days in the office. They're asking for documents, and they're requiring you to, answer questions with these audits. So with DocLink, this client saw an annual audit bill drop by 25% due to the reduced number of hours that these auditors are on site. So imagine how that can benefit your organization if you had everything digitally within DocLink. Second is enhanced visibility. DocLink provides a network access to all document transactions that you store and manage within DocLink, and supporting documentation showing who handled the document, who routed around, when it was approved, who approved it, the whole transaction history. You'll have drill down capability through the accounting solution with our, integration and audit there directly from the ERP system if you're utilizing our integration with the ERP. Workflow replaces any manual process that you currently have, and there's a full audit history on who approved it, when they approved it, like I mentioned. Workflow also ensures that the business processes are followed, and reports are available to perform, these self-auditing checks for compliances internally as well. Definitely increase the visibility by allowing multiple people to access the document versus if it's paper, only one person can view the document at one time if it's paper. But being that, if you have the things digitally within DocLink, you can have multiple people access. Integration functionality allows for minimal data entry as DocLink leverages existing data that you have within your ERP system and link to the primary or secondary transactions. We have a robust search and retrieval capability, so full archival of documents and all associated documents can be stored in our system and be able to access within seconds based on our search. Third here, improved financial reporting. So think about the drill down capability from like geo accounts. You could do search, by geo accounts in our system if invoices are tied to specific geo accounts. You could store and manage financial reports within DocLink, so you could easily access there. Maybe not everybody has access to the ERP system. You may have folks that just access DocLink and they could access the information that they're allowed to see and access based on their security login. So definitely huge improvement there when it comes to financial reporting and the backup to these reports. Stronger internal control. So we can have enhanced three-way matching for AP transactions, automated business rules associated with vital business processes for routing and approval, so better control, tighter control there, and tighter discipline across the entire enterprise, right, for documents that need to be approved and routed around, right, for review. Enhanced compliance and reducing costs associated with annual audits, whether it is Sarbanes-Oxley audits or regulatory agencies, depending on what industry you're in, right? Certainly, DocLink can help with you being in compliant with different government regulations, and of course, eliminating any lost, missing documents. At the end of the day, everything is stored electronic. You don't have to worry about paper document getting lost or misplaced. So let me tell you a story about a client. We have a client who went through a very tough sales tax audit. Auditors came on site, and this company was to produce a lot of different documents for these auditors, but documents were damaged and they couldn't find certain documents. And because of this, they were assessed a substantial penalty. Over $100,000 was their fine because they couldn't furnish certain documents for their sales tax audit. Talk about, a hefty fine, right? I'm sure some of you folks out there have gone through some of these difficult audits where maybe you were fined, right? Hopefully not, but if you were, definitely DocLink can help. The moment that they needed a document management system and retention program, they needed something immediately to be able to handle all their documents so that they don't go through this another fine, right? Next time they go through an audit, gets fined again for potentially more than 100,000, well over that potentially. So huge reason why this organization, which is called the Aguro Companies, they were very motivated by implement a document management system because of this fine. They started with the historical, AP process and AP documents, and with DocLink, they are now having a single point for all their documents and provide a single access for their auditors so that their auditors can come in based on their audit login to be able to access the documents they need. And since implementing DocLink, they haven't had any additional penalties, and the audit process has saved them a ton of time, not only internally for their employees to have to gather and furnish all these documents for their auditors because they used to be in paper. Now everything's electronic, so they don't have to worry about internal process and internal time. They basically give their auditors a login, and the auditors are able to access the documents based on their security login. So providing auditor access, let's talk about how you could provide auditors access to DocLink. Two different ways. Large cost of many businesses is being in compliance. So rather than handing your auditors a huge stack of documents, think about that they spend hours digging up, that you spend hours digging up, you can easily select and save to secure, the documents on a cloud base or SFTP transmission. You could download these documents that they're requesting for and save it onto a network, a flash drive, so to say, and give this flash drive to your auditors based on the documents they requested, right? Just download there, you search and retrieve within DocLink for the documents they access, download it, put it on a flash drive, give that flash drive to your auditors so they can access the documents. And with that export, they actually get a light client of DocLink so that they can search and retrieve for the documents that you have exported for them to review. And with that export, it also shows all the audit history of what happens to the document, who approved it, when they approved it, all that audit history. So that's one way to do it. And some of our clients do that. Other clients also set up an audit user, let's say, a user called auditors. And with that, the auditors have a capability to log in, whether they're in the office there or remote. They can log in and access the documents that you allow them to see and access based on their login credentials, right? So certainly that's another option you could do, is provide your auditors direct access to DocLink, and they could see and access only the documents you allow them to see and access based on their login credentials. So two ways, both ways, super easy. Tracking of history. So with the documents that they are able to access and view, there's a full audit history in terms of everything that has been approved, all the document history. They'll have full visibility of that from the moment a document comes into the system to when all the approvers have approved it. Full audit log, date and time stamped there. Think about compliance, right? DocLink has helped a lot of organizations being compliant with ISO, HIPAA, Sarbanes-Oxley, just because the business process you have in place. Software helps with those business processes and procedures that you have throughout your organization to be in compliance. Software ends up being a big part of helping our clients be in compliance when they need to be with ISO, HIPAA, or Sarbanes-Oxley. Minimizing data, minimizing errors. DocLink being an electronic system, storing everything, manage everything electronically helps with minimizing any errors that you may have, especially on the AP process, right? Here's an example of a transaction, that's getting coded before and approved in the DocLink system before it actually gets fed into the ERP. Just an example of one of the streams within DocLink as it relates to an AP transaction and the coding process. And with that, let's get into this demo section. I'm going to turn things over to Mark at this point, and we're going to jump right into the demo and show you how DocLink can help you fix with audits. Mark?
Great, thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick, and good day, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and show you really how easy it is to utilize DocLink as part of your solution being able to go ahead and provide these documents or document access to your auditors themselves, right? So here's going to be basically some scenarios that I will be covering as part of my demonstration. So really, we classify auditors as two different types of auditors. One that comes into your office, basically gives you parameters as to what kind of information they need, and there may be some that is off-site and being able to go ahead and give them access to DocLink in itself. So how does that look from the DocLink perspective? Well, let's go ahead and tackle the off-site auditors first, right? So here in this case, you're going to go ahead and provide them a URL access. Maybe they have to VPN in, maybe it's a public-facing URL. They can hit a website. And from here, you'll see I have my DocLink interface. I can go ahead and enter in as an auditor. With the security measures that DocLink has in place, there is the ability to go ahead and limit what auditors can see and search for. So you'll see here, there's really not much access an auditor can have. You have them configured to search for specifically, accounts payable invoices. That is my document type. You did give them access to all the companies you have available. And on the most right-hand side here, you can also control what kind of property values they can search for. But you can also hard code some of the property values. So you'll see here in this specific configuration that I've set up, the auditor can search for AP invoices that is less than $10,000. In addition to that, they have the ability to go search for specific GL account names. Once again, this is configurable. So it could be GL account code, GL account name. It could be a range of dates, whatever you want to be able to have your auditor conduct, a self-service retrieval from your DocLink environment. So as I click on my search transaction here, I'm just going to keep everything pretty default at this point. You'll see here the user, the system's able to go ahead and bring back, the results for you. So at this point, auditor can just go ahead and go into the transaction themselves. They can document preview. They can open the transaction, which brings them directly into the the image itself. You'll see that they have visibility of the image. They'll see the property values. They can see some history as far as when it came into the organization. So there's really a lot of details available to that, and also any kind of notes that may have been put as part of the review and approval process. So there's a lot of things that an auditor can really do from this standpoint, right? As well as if you decide to go ahead and give them the ability to conduct additional property values to query by, you can go ahead and tell them, I want to go ahead and look for all maybe telephone bills that has been associated to that account code. So you can go ahead and search for that, and then you'll be able to go ahead and retrieve all invoices that is specifically coded to that GL account code as telephone, right? So you'll see here, that's actually one of my property values for my GL account coding. It's a telephone vendor codes that we have here, but it's really displayed more inside here, my GL account name. So once again, being able to go ahead and have a self-sufficient access to your auditors so they can go ahead and search for those transactions themselves. Now, just to give you a compare and contrast from a security perspective, if I go in as my administration person here, you'll see that I can have the same search criteria, but obviously a lot more, and I have a lot more control as an administrator. But as I click on this, you'll also see that my administrator has more visibility. So if I go ahead and pull up the same transaction that I did before, you'll see that my administrator access has actually given access to not just the notes section as well, but you can see the workflow history, the audit history. Once again, you'll probably want to give these access to your auditors, but I just wanted to display the type of security that could be allowed for DocLink for your auditors as it goes through. So this is an example of an off-site auditor, as we like to reference it. Somebody that's not coming to your office. Instead of giving you the parameters, what kind of transactions, documents they're looking for, they can search for it themselves. Now, the other scenario that we have is going to be, your auditors that basically just gives you certain parameters. And here in this case, I'm going to go ahead and access my DocLink Smart client, which is more of an application-based interface to DocLink, because here, this is where your auditor might be giving you certain instructions, right? In this case, I have a saved search here. I want to see all AP invoices that is geocoded to account code 71, whatever it may be, right? So here you'll see that this is going to be done by your internal staff, your AP team. They'll be able to go ahead and conduct those specific parameters. They can put in, the range of date fields and what have you. All the criteria are available. But from here, what happens is when they get the results, your AP person can go ahead and actually download all these documents. Now, when we go ahead and initiate the download process, DocLink has the ability to provide not just the images, but also the data in itself. So the approval processes, the notes that has been added, approvals, as well as there's the ability to provide a light search engine as part of that export process. So when we do that, we're going to go ahead and click start here to initiate the download process. Let's go ahead and I'll just put it in my Auditor 2 folder here as an example. So as you can see there, it's very quick. It's going to go ahead and download all those. And what happens then at this point is you can go ahead and send that folder in itself to your auditor, either through a secure FTP site or possibly through a thumb drive, depending what kind of, how they want it to be sent over. Then from there, your auditor will go ahead and open up the folder. They will open up the executable for DocLink, the smart client in itself. They'll simply go ahead and point back. In this case, I think I put on test. They'll point back to the folder that we have identified. And then from here, you'll see that instead of having access to all the different document types, to all the different companies, they only have access to the ones that you have exported. So at this point, your auditor can conduct their searches if they need to, or they can simply go ahead and conduct a blanket search. And you'll see here, we've only exported the invoices that we've selected from prior. And from here, your auditors can go in, they can go ahead and review, once again, the workflow history, right? Any kind of notes that was provided throughout the approval process, as well as the audit history. Currently what's going, with that whole approval and payment process that happened for that specific transaction. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the power and capabilities of DocLink, the options that you have, your auditors have, which makes it really simple come audit time, not having to go through banker's boxes, having to go through an offsite storage, having to go through your on-site filing cabinets and pull and retract all these documents, right, to be provided to your auditors themselves. All right, on that note, I want to go ahead and give the controls back to Patrick so he can go ahead and continue on with the balance of the presentation. Patrick, controls back to you, sir.
Great, thanks, Mark. And let me go ahead and share my screen again. So Mark walked through a demo of DocLink and how you utilize it for audits. Some auditor scenarios, auditors request for specific documents. We talked about how you can access documents through our search and retrieval. You could, retrieve documents and emails, anything that's stored within DocLink, right? For your auditors and DocLink administrators can have updates and audit transactions and be able to view the full history of the document, when it was brought in our system, who approved it, when it approved it, even view. We even keep an log on who views and accesses a document. So full details there. Definitely at the end of the day, it's about saving time and efforts for your organization so that auditors can easily access and your audits go smoothly and a lot quicker, not only for your internal employees, but for your auditors. What are customers saying? Here's some customers, and you folks could read it, but these are 3 longtime customers of ours, Bear River, Tyler, and Smart City Telecom. All these organizations found benefit with utilizing DocLink for their audits. Audit times get substantially reduced, all the way down from what it used to be with days or weeks to minutes or maybe just hours, right? So think about the internal process and internal time it saves there for your employees. But then speeding up the auditing process so that your auditor bills are reduced, right? Imagine if you're able to save money and have your auditors go faster at the audits, right? Because they're able to see and access everything they need. They don't have to go back to you and ask questions because of all the audit history is there, all the details there. They have very little to no questions for you. So it definitely speeds up that process for your organization. Benefits there, definitely at the end of the day, DocLink makes it easy to prepare the right information and set up the right access, whether it's downloading and putting onto a flash drive or giving your auditors access to DocLink directly, therefore greatly reducing any business risks of failing an audit. And you'll be in compliance with full audit history and audit trail for the documents. And your finance department won't be tied up for weeks or days furnishing documents and following up with your auditors and spending time with the auditors. They can continue to do their day-to-day tasks without business interruptions, right? Making it simple and stress-free audit at the end of the day. That's the goal. How can DocLink impact everyone in your organization? DocLink can streamline everything. A lot of our clients start with AP and AP automation, but we go beyond that. We can handle your AR process and documents really there. Human resources, we see a lot of our clients implementing and managing documents through their HR process and different types of business forms through HR. Legal with managing contracts, with revision control, DocuSign integration that we have. Field service, if you're a field service organization, your technicians that are on the road servicing customer sites, being able to access documents right from their mobile device. Facility management, so think about managing facilities and all the documents there. Sales order process, maybe streamlining your sales order process so that you can speed up the cycle time of processing an order and getting paid for an order from your client. So why DocLink? DocLink is a world-class product. We've been around for a while. DocLink's been around for somewhere around 25 years. And we have our full implementation staff here with Alltech. So we do our own implementations and outstanding customer support. We provide support 24/7, 365 days a year. There's always someone on call to support our clients. We do have clients all over the world. So whether it's nights or weekends, we always have someone on call to support our clients outside of our normal business hours. And at this point, I'd like to open things up and see if there's any questions, but also leave my contact information and, of course, Cherry's contact information here on the screen so that if you have any questions for us after, certainly we can address it after this session as well. But just wanted to open things up, see if there's any questions.
Yeah, I do have
Lauren,
a couple of questions that came in. So the first question is a document retention policy able to be built into DocLink?
Yeah, so you could set up like workflow retention. So if things, hit a certain amount of time, you could get notified, for things to expire. And it's a physical retention. So, you would have to remove it out of the system. It doesn't do it automatically. Someone would look at the document and then decide, do we want to, export it out, delete it out of the system, but it's based on security as well.
Great, thank you. I think kind of a follow-up question. They're asking when a year of invoices are moved off DocLink, where does it go?
You can completely move it out of the system, or you could put it onto a flash drive, CD, or somewhere else. You can, it's up to you on how you want to decide to remove it out of the system. It can get removed out of the system for future audits. Let's say, after X amount of years, but you can decide where you want to put it, whether you want to put it on some other, network file share or flash drive or CD or what have you. Completely optional and doable with different methods.
Okay. And then one other question, I guess they're asking, how many years of invoices do companies typically store in DocLink?
I think the government requirement's about 7 years, so usually about 7 years. At least here in the U.S.
That was all the questions that I see. If anybody else has any questions, you can always reach out to Cherry or Patrick. Their contact information is on the screen right here. Yeah, and any last minute words from anybody?
No, I appreciate you folks joining today and Cherry and MLCC for allowing us to present to you folks. Any questions, if you want to learn more about DocLink and how we can help your organization streamline your audit process or streamline any process throughout your organization, whether it's the AP side, sales order side, what have HR, DocLink can help get your entire enterprise paperless and digital.
All right. Well, with that, then we will close for the day. And thank you for joining, everyone. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.